All right, ready for a deep dive. Today, we're tackling the world of J.D. Salinger.
Oh, this will be good.
Famous, reclusive, wrote The Catcher in the Rye, the whole deal.
Right, right.
And we're looking at him through a really specific lens, the Enneagram.
Fascinating system.
It is. Specifically, he's often typed as a type 5, with the self-preservation instinct.
Which makes a ton of sense when you start digging in.
So for anyone listening who's like, Enneagram, what's that? It's basically a way of looking at personality.
9 types, interconnected.
Each one has different motivations, fears, patterns.
It's not about boxing people in.
No, but it gives us a framework.
For understanding ourselves and others on a deeper level, yeah.
Exactly. And with Salinger, this type 5 thing, especially the self-preservation part,
It starts to explain a lot.
about his choices. Like, why'd he retreat from the public eye the way he did?
More than just being private.
Way more. It's like he built this fortress of solitude.
Literally.
Right. He moved to this tiny town, Cornish, New Hampshire,
And then built a bunker.
on his property. Like, what's up with that?
So type 5, at their core, they want to feel safe.
Control, too, right?
Absolutely. Autonomy over their environment, over their energy.
They need what's called a refuge,
Yes. Their protected inner world.
where they go to withdraw, recharge.
Exactly.
So Salinger wasn't just escaping fame or the literary world, even.
It's deeper. For a type 5, especially self-preservation strong,
That refuge is almost like existential
it is feeling safe from being depleted.
from the world's demands.
Yeah. Salinger literally built that.
Wow. Okay, so disappearing from public life
It wasn't shyness.
or eccentricity
It was protecting something essential.
to his well-being.
Exactly. And that self-preservation, it shows up elsewhere for type 5s, too.
Like in how they view knowledge.
Oh,
I
yeah.
read Salinger was big into Zen Buddhism, Vedanta.
Intense.
Those are some dense philosophical systems.
And for a type 5, knowledge isn't a hobby. It's like survival.
The more you know, the less scary the world is.
Exactly. It's
Mhm.
mastery. Feeling equipped.
For whatever life throws at you.
Precisely. And it shows up in Salinger's writing, too.
So they're building a fortress of knowledge.
To go with their physical refuge.
Right.
It's all connected.
His writing style, it's so sharp.
Intellectually.
Exploring these complex themes, psychology, philosophy,
Like he's trying to unravel the mysteries
of being human.
through his intellect.
I see how it fits together now. Cornish is the physical refuge,
Right.
knowledge, through study.
Another refuge.
And then his writing, it's like its own world,
A refuge he can control.
shape with his words.
Absolutely. It's key to understanding why his work is so powerful.
Appealing, too.
He's not just telling stories
It's like he's inviting us in
to his world
where he's wrestled with these big questions.
and found some solace in trying to understand
Makes you wonder, though.
what
This intense need for control,
self-preservation,
did it ever limit him?
especially in his relationships.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. We'll definitely dig into that
Oh, we have to.
as we go deeper into these sources.
Because the type 5 drive, the autonomy,
It can be powerful,
incredibly.
maybe also challenging.
When it comes to connecting with others,
That's where things get really interesting.
when we talk about self-preservation, we often think physical stuff, right?
Mm.
Like resources, being secure.
But for a type 5,
It's more than that.
it's protecting their energy
Their inner world so it doesn't get depleted.
or overwhelmed. Yeah.
And it makes me think about Salinger's relationships,
Oh, interesting.
especially romantic ones. He was married twice, both ended in divorce.
Right.
Sources mention his relationships with his kids were tough, too.
Is that like a type 5 pattern?
Yeah, I'm curious about that.
Not a rule, but we see it often.
Especially with that strong self-preservation.
They hesitate to open up.
Let people in.
It feels risky.
Loss of control.
Exactly.
Because if you let someone in,
They could drain you.
demand more than you want to give,
And remember, for a 5, depletion.
it's not just physical.
It's emotional, mental too. They need a lot of space to
Recharge.
process everything.
Which can be hard for partners
Family too.
to understand.
Especially if they're not type 5s themselves.
Totally different languages.
It's like that, yeah.
And this holding back emotionally,
Keeping distance,
it can look like coldness.
detachment.
People misinterpret it.
But it's really about self-protection.
It is. Not that they don't care.
It's just a different way of showing it,
Prioritizing self-preservation.
above all else.
Yeah.
Okay, so we see that in relationships, the self-preservation. But what about Salinger and his work?
Oh, good point.
He stopped publishing in 65,
Famous for that.
but kept writing Tons of it. For decades.
What's going on there?
Right.
That's where it gets fascinating. It's classic Enneagram hoarding.
Hoarding. I thought that was like newspapers' old clothes.
It can be, but it's mindset.
Okay.
Deep fear of scarcity.
And for 5, that can show up in different ways.
Hoarding knowledge, resources, even creative stuff.
So for Salinger, writing wasn't enough.
He had to keep it all.
Like he was afraid to run out of ideas.
It's like that, yeah.
Building up this reserve
If creative energy.
stockpile of stories, characters.
Couldn't let any of it go.
But isn't art supposed to be shared?
Ideally, yes.
To connect, spark conversations, make people think?
But for Salinger, with that self-preservation,
Sharing felt too risky.
vulnerable
Exposing something that had to be protected.
at all costs.
It's kind of tragic, isn't it?
In a way, yeah.
This gift, these worlds he made,
Characters people connected to.
all locked away,
It is a paradox.
speaks to how complex we are. As humans,
Our deepest desires clashing.
he wanted connection. His work's full of it.
But that need to protect himself, preserve his energy, his world.
Always there.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder what his work would have been like.
If he hadn't felt that so strongly,
More open to collaborating, letting go of some control,
would he have written differently?
been happier even.
We can only guess.
Interesting thought experiment, though.
It is.
On one hand, his reclusiveness, that independence,
Part of what made his work so unique.
powerful.
But you also feel that loss. What might have been
If he'd shared more.
let go of some fear.
It's complicated.
Salinger's legacy is like that, full of contradictions.
Unanswered questions.
But the Enneagram gives us a way in.
To understand the forces at play.
What shaped his life, his work,
Motivations?
behind such enduring, enigmatic art.
So what does this all mean for us regular folks?
Right, not famous reclusive authors or anything.
What can we learn from Salinger?
Even if we're not type 5s.
Good question. There's got to be something here for everyone.
There is. One thing, recognizing our own self-preservation needs.
Recognizing our own self-preservation needs.
Right, like what depletes us, what fills us back up.
How do we actually do that, though? Put it into practice.
Well, it starts with, self-awareness.
Being aware of yourself.
Yeah, like how you feel in different situations,
Okay.
what drains your energy.
Versus what energizes you.
Exactly. Not just saying no to things or isolating yourself.
But finding that balance.
Right, that works for you.
Honoring the need for solitude, for reflection.
But still engaging with the world.
In a way that feels sustainable.
Yes. It's like that saying,
Put your own oxygen mask on first.
exactly, before you can help others.
Especially important for type 5s, I bet.
Oh, absolutely. They have that empathy, that desire to make a difference.
But they can't do it if they're running on empty.
Makes sense.
So self-awareness is key.
Big time.
But what about the people around type 5s?
Good question.
How can we understand and support them better?
The biggest thing is remembering that need for space, for being alone.
It's not personal.
It's not rejection.
It's just how they're wired.
Exactly. So don't take it personally if they need to,
Disappear into their refuge for a bit.
Yes. Encourage them to take that time.
To recharge, to process.
And when they do come back out, understand.
They might not be super expressive.
But it doesn't mean they don't care.
Different love language, almost.
Great analogy. Like any language, it takes time.
Effort to learn.
But it's worth it.
Because when you get each other's needs,
You build a much stronger connection.
this has been so insightful.
I'm glad.
From Salinger's reclusiveness
Right?
to actual tips for understanding type 5s.
In our own lives.
Yeah.
What a journey. It is amazing what you can learn from just one personality type.
Even one as complex as the 5.
Seemingly contradictory, too.
Makes you think there's no one right way to do life.
For relationships.
What works for one person, maybe not for another.
And that's okay.
The key is to be curious, open to learning.
Meet people where they are.
Couldn't agree more.
If you're interested in learning more about the Enneagram,
Understanding yourself, the people you're close to.
check out the resources we've got in the show notes.
Some great books, websites, even other podcasts.
Go deeper down that rabbit hole.
And hey, maybe take inspiration from Salinger. Carve out some time for yourself today.
Quiet reflection.
Explore what you need.
Refuge. Knowledge. Connection.
Could be surprising what you find.
It could be. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Until next time, keep those minds open and those hearts curious.